The world seems too good to be true, I often think. It really does. Catherine, answer me. At the daycare center where I work. In the midst of the crowd, the daycare worker's voice echoes. I just called an ambulance, but it seems it's gonna be delayed in arriving. Cutting off the flustered daycare worker nearby, I instantly went to the collapsing girl. Please tell me the situation. I used to be a surgeon. Due to certain circumstances, I was kicked out of a hospital, but even someone like me, I thought I could still be of help to someone. No, I don't think I was even thinking that much. Right now, it's just to save the life in front of me. The police. After I finished everything, my co-worker, Samantha, came to talk to me, to tell me that the police wanted to hear from me. My name is Ethan Johnson. I'm a 45-year-old daycare worker. Before becoming a daycare worker, I worked as a surgeon at a university hospital. For my age, I was entrusted with major surgeries and had a fulfilling career as a doctor, holding a respectable position within the university hospital. The papers I published were also highly regarded in the medical world, and back then I was even praised as a genius surgeon. However, one day I was forced to quit the university hospital. It was triggered by the surgery. Leave this chart on my desk. Also, how's that patient's blood pressure looking? It's within the normal range for now. Thanks. And how's the boy who was brought in yesterday after the accident? Is his wound okay? Thanks to your prompt surgery, he regained consciousness right away and is now able to talk with his parents. That's great. I'll go explain to the parents later too. Understood. At this university hospital, my colleagues and I have saved many people's lives. I myself took pride in the job of being a doctor. However, the world inside a university hospital was more cutthroat than one could imagine. Advancing your career at a top university hospital in the US also affects your prestige in the medical world. Because of that, it was important among doctors to know who was in charge of what surgeries. Before long, this gave rise to factions within the same university hospital. The man who was called the next hospital director candidate along with me was a guy named Williams. Williams was undoubtedly skilled, but for better or worse, he was ambitious and had a strong desire to improve. That desire to improve, combined with his solid skills, meant that there were two different groups of people who support for Williams, and also for Ethan, which is me, competing behind the scenes for the next director position. Then one day, I passed by Williams in the hospital hallway. Hey, Ethan. I hear you're doing a surgery next week afternoon. Yeah, what about it? Nothing. Just wondering if you can handle it properly. Want me to do the operation for you in case anything happens? It's fine. Leave it to me. Perhaps because of the faction rivalry, things are strangely tense with Williams. Williams glanced at me then started walking down the hall again, so I also turned my gaze back to the chart in my hands and began walking in the opposite direction from him. On the day of the surgery I was in charge of a week later. When I arrived at work in the morning, the nurse's station was bustling. Ethan, there's been a change to the surgery schedule today. What? Why? Well, that's... Hey, Ethan. You really did it this time. Spotting me, still unaware of the situation, Williams shouted in a loud voice. What are you saying I did? I took a look at the chart for today's surgery patient, and the diagnosis you made was wrong. In other words, it was a misdiagnosis. What? That can't be. No, I looked it over. You made a misdiagnosis. And on top of that, you didn't prepare enough blood for the transfusion needed for the surgery. I should have prepared the proper amount in advance too. No, it wasn't done. I couldn't understand what Williams was saying. I was certain I had written the correct chart and prepared the blood transfusion. During the diagnosis, I did detailed tests and wrote the diagnosis results on the chart. I even prepared extra blood for that surgery. Then do you have anything to prove that? Anything at all? I don't, but you wanted to improve your reputation by doing the surgery. That's why you falsified the chart. Am I wrong? What kind of reputation would I gain from falsifying a chart and doing surgery? Who knows? But there's no doubt that you made a misdiagnosis. I'm telling you, that's not. In the end, my and Williams' arguments remained at odds and we couldn't come to an agreement. Ultimately, the patient I was scheduled to operate on that day was operated on by Williams instead. The surgery Williams performed in my place was a success. After that surgery, I was summoned by the hospital director, Mr. Smith. Ethan, I heard about the surgery this time. I was told there was a misdiagnosis on your part. On top of that, insufficient preparation for the blood transfusion. This university hospital is one of the top hospitals in the U.S. A surgical accident due to misdiagnosis would be a huge problem. We are the last line of defense entrusted with people's lives. I'm sure you understand that, right? Yes, I understand. It was something I had no recollection of. However, the chart I wrote had gone missing, and I couldn't prove my own innocence. A single mistake at this university hospital could be fatal, and rumors of my misdiagnosis quickly spread, so I lost my place and decided to quit the hospital. Having quit the university hospital, I had savings from my time as a doctor, so for the time being I thought I'd take some time for myself without working. Sigh. I'm bored. But after saying that, within a week I got tired of it, and I ended up just lying on my bed in my room all day. Come on, Ethan. If you're gonna waste time doing nothing, why not try a different job for a change of pace? A different job, huh? Admonished by my mother, I opened a job change magazine and thought about it, but there was no job I felt like doing. For me, who had spent most of my life studying to become a doctor, it was only natural that I couldn't muster interest in another job. There aren't any good jobs. Then how about this one? Saying that, my mother handed me a job listing for daycare center staff, but I don't have a daycare worker experience. It's okay. Apparently you can get hired here without license. It seems the main job is playing with the children while assisting the daycare workers. A job playing with children, huh? Isn't it a wonderful job? And if you ever go back to being a doctor, it could be an experience in closing the emotional distance with child patients. If I go back to being a doctor, huh? Honestly, if asked if I wanted to go back to being a doctor now, I'd struggle with the answer. But spending time with children might be a nice change of pace. At the very least, I figured it'd be better than lounging around my room, so I applied for an interview at that daycare center. On the day of the interview, I went to the office and had a job interview with the principal of daycare center. Devin, please introduce yourself and give a brief background. Yes, my name is Ethan Johnson. Until recently, I worked as a med what? Medical clerk. A medical clerk. Yes, I mainly compiled medical charts and did accounting work within the hospital. I've mostly had desk jobs until now, so I was interested in a job where I could play outside with the children to my heart's content. I see. Thank you. Then let me explain about our daycare center. I had lied on the spot about my background. Going from a doctor to a daycare worker is quite an unusual story. If that happened, anyone would want to know the reason for the career change. Even though I couldn't think of anything, outwardly I was suspected of misdiagnosis and kicked out of a hospital. If that was the case, people around me certainly wouldn't take kindly to it. In that case, I thought it would be better for myself not to mention that I used to be a doctor. That concludes the interview. We will contact you within a week regarding the results. Yes. Thank you very much. I ended the interview on an upbeat note. Less than a week later, I got the call that I was hired. 1 week after the hiring notice, I had my first day of work as a daycare worker at Future Country Daycare. Nice to meet you. I'm Ethan Johnson. There's a lot I don't know, but I look forward to working with you. Welcome aboard. Then, Ethan, you'll be in charge of the class for young pre-K, so please take good care of them. Understood. I, who had been wearing a white coat until just recently, would now be wearing an apron as my work uniform. Feeling a different kind of nervousness than surgery, I headed to the class for young pre-K. Everyone, I'm Ethan. Nice to meet you all. Nice to meet you, Ethan. I was surprised at how mature the 4-year-old children were. But what surprised me even more were the daycare workers I was working with. Ethan, that child doesn't like playing in the sandbox and prefers high places, so please let them play on the jungle gym. But since it's dangerous if they fall, please stay with them when they climb up and down. Okay. Ethan, that child loves singing songs, so please take them to the singing classroom during song time. The teacher is aware, so it's fine to just join right in. Got it, Ethan. This child has allergies. So please make sure that he does not tomatoes. Understood. Perhaps because this daycare values what the children like, the daycare workers knew the personalities and preferences of all the children. On top of that, I was impressed by how earnestly they engaged with each and every child. I wish I could have faced the children more and saved the lives of children all over the world too. Watching the daycare teacher's hard work, I muttered to myself. Then I closed my eyes for a moment and sealed away my memories of being a doctor so I wouldn't dwell on the past. All right, I'm gonna get to know each of the children more deeply too. Talking to myself resolutely, I was about to head over to where everyone was playing outside. But just then, my eyes stopped on one girl. Excuse me, what about that child? That child? Do you mean Olivia Blackwell? Yes. I noticed she's the only one not playing with everyone else. Olivia can't exercise, you see. Is something wrong with her? That's right. She has a disease called pomp disease. Pomp disease. Olivia, what are you playing with? Sitting next to Olivia, who was playing in the sandbox, I spoke to her. Ethan, I'm making a sand castle right now. Is that so? It's a really impressive castle. Do you live here, Olivia? Yep, that's right. A castle for me and mommy to live in. Just the two of you, Olivia and your mom. Yup. I played with Olivia in the sandbox for about 30 minutes after that. Perhaps because it was midday, the sun was strong, and it was a bit muggy. Maybe because of the sandbox. I wiped the sweat from my forehead with my hand as I helped build the castle. Glancing over at Olivia, I noticed she wasn't sweating at all. Olivia, what's wrong? My tummy hurts. I'm gonna go potty. I'll make the castle more later. I see. Want me to go with you? Okay. Holding Olivia's hand, I took her to the bathroom. As evening came, my day's work at the daycare also ended. The children each went home with their moms or dads who came to pick them up. Amidst that, Olivia's mother, Lisa Blackwell, came to get Olivia. Hello, I'm Lisa, Olivia's mother. Hello, I'm Ethan Johnson, the daycare worker. As for Olivia today, she had upset stomach a few times, but her condition wasn't particularly bad, and she played in the sandbox building castles and such. Is that so? That's good. Seeming to truly be worried about Olivia's health, Lisa looked relieved. I heard Olivia has pomp disease. Has she had it since birth? When I asked casually, Lisa hesitated a little before answering the question. Well, you see, I'm not actually Olivia's real mother. Olivia's real parents passed away in an accident, and now I've taken her in and am raising her. Hearing her answer, I immediately regretted it. I felt bad for thoughtlessly asking about something private. I'm sorry. I asked something rude without knowing. No. While I have respect for Olivia's real parents, I'm trying to hold my head high as a mother protecting this child now. Because if I don't, I feel like I'd be leaving Olivia all alone. Seeing Lisa put on a brave face and smile, I was impressed by her strength of heart. I think Olivia really loves you, Lisa. She said she wanted to live with mommy, just the two of them, in the castle she made in the sandbox. She said that. That makes me kinda happy. Lisa gave a shy, happy smile. Mommy, you came to get me. Spotting Lisa, Olivia walked over waving and grinning. Olivia, I'm glad you're waving to me, but your belly button is showing. It's fine. See you tomorrow, Ethan. Yep. See you tomorrow, Olivia. Olivia waved to me too as she held Lisa's hand and left. Once the two were out of sight, I slowly lowered my right hand. Olivia had a rash on her stomach. I muttered softly, still gazing at the daycare gate. Nearly 2 months had passed since I became a daycare worker. Recently, I'd come to understand the children at the daycare, and I'd especially gotten close with the kids in the young pre-K class. Among them, as a former doctor, I paid particular attention to Olivia, who had pomp disease. The truth is, I also wanted to help Lisa, who was protecting Olivia all on her own. Olivia, it seems your mom is gonna be about 30 minutes late from work today, so how about you play with me while you wait? Okay, I'll be fine if I'm with you, Ethan. I waited for Lisa to come while playing with blocks with Olivia. Olivia, sorry I'm late. Mommy's here. Olivia, there are blocks scattered on the floor, so be careful. It's dangerous. It's fine. It doesn't hurt. Geez. Look, you forgot your bag. It's heavy so I can carry it. Ethan, you bring it. Can't be helped, huh? Carrying Olivia's bag while holding her hand, I headed over to where Lisa was waiting at the entrance. Ethan, I'm sorry for making you wait. It's all right, Lisa. Time flies by when I'm playing with Olivia. I thought the same thing. Looking at Olivia's face, Lisa laughed softly. It's like father and daughter. Huh? Me, her dad. Oh, no, I mean, if Olivia had a dad, I wonder if it'd be like this. What am I saying? Seeing Lisa's face turn a bit red, I felt embarrassed too for some reason and averted my gaze from Lisa in front of me. My heart was pounding for some reason. Well then, see you tomorrow. Oh yes. See you tomorrow. See you tomorrow, Ethan. The next day, I had just finished the morning recreation as usual, taken kids out for a walk and brought them back, and was helping them change clothes when it happened. There was a loud thud from the hallway. Immediately after, a scream rang out, reaching even the classroom. Ah, Olivia. Olivia, are you okay? Reacting to the name I heard from the hallway, before I knew it I had dashed out. Looking into the hallway, Olivia was collapsed in the middle, and several daycare workers surrounding her had gone pale with confusion at the situation. Call an ambulance. Pushing my way into the circle around Olivia, I checked her pulse. She hit her head and is unconscious. Her pulse is strong. Prepare an AED just in case. Yes. And contact Lisa, Olivia's mother, right away. Understood. Was her Pompe disease diagnosis made by a doctor? Yes. When she was enrolled, Olivia's mother provided documents with the diagnosis results. I see. Ethan, is there something about that? In my opinion, Olivia doesn't have Pompe disease, but Fabry disease. Fabry disease. Both Pompe and Fabry are types of lysosomal storage diseases, but the name of the disease varies depending on the type of enzyme that is deficient. I thought back on how Olivia normally was. Olivia rarely sweats even on hot days, and she often complained of stomach aches and went to the bathroom. She also had a rash on her stomach, muscle weakness, and signs of abnormal pain sensation like not feeling pain when stepping on blocks. These are some of the symptoms seen in Fabry disease. Seeing me speak calmly, the daycare teachers and Devin looked at me curiously. Who exactly are you, Ethan? Even if you work as a medical clerk, to be able to predict the name of the disease so accurately. While observing Olivia's condition, I felt uncomfortable with the comments from those around me. I'll explain later. When I answered in a slightly low voice, the sound of an ambulance siren could be heard in the distance. I picked up Olivia, loaded her into the ambulance, and got in with her. When I saw it empty, I felt a bit gloomy seeing the familiar faces. Most likely, this ambulance was headed to the university hospital where I used to work. It's all right. Leave it to me. And if Lisa comes, please let her know we've gone to the hospital. Saying that to the worried-looking Devin and others, the ambulance doors closed and we set off for the hospital. Inside the ambulance, I kept holding Olivia's hand, so that Olivia's soul, unconscious from the shock to her head, wouldn't go anywhere. One of the paramedics watching spoke up. You're Ethan, right? Called by name by an EMT I knew. I calmly answered after a short pause. That's right. Hearing that, the paramedic quietly nodded, perhaps realizing something. Perhaps due to the shock from hitting her head. Her pulse is irregular. I believe it's likely from bleeding, but since there's no visible trauma, there's a high possibility of internal bleeding from internal damage. That possibility is high. We should operate right away once we get to the hospital. Also, this child was apparently misdiagnosed with Pompe disease at some hospital. In my opinion, she doesn't have Pompe disease but Fabry disease. Can you check if she can be retested properly at the university hospital? I just contacted the university hospital, and they said there's no doctor on call who can handle the surgery. No one. Children have less blood volume than adults. If we delay treatment while she keeps bleeding like this, it could be fatal. Early surgery is necessary, but there's no doctor who can take charge. Then I'll do it. What? You will, Ethan. I may have left the university hospital, but I'm still a doctor. If you're saying there's no doctor who can do the surgery, then I'll do it. Perhaps sensing my strong resolve, The EMT looked at Olivia and nodded again. We will believe in you. We're in a position of being entrusted with people's lives. Thank you. I'll take responsibility myself, so don't worry. I lightly patted the EMT's shoulder. Placing Olivia on a stretcher, I entered the ICU. Gathered, there were members of my surgical team who I had experienced many surgeries with back when I worked at the university hospital. Everyone. Ethan, let's hurry and save that child. You're right. The important thing now is saving this child. I took off my apron and changed into surgical scrubs. I put the bare patch in my pocket as a good luck charm. An hour later, I cut the last suture. I was nervous from my first surgery in a while, but my operation finished safely. Exiting the operating room, I saw Lisa right in front of the doors, praying while crying. Lisa, the surgery was successful. Really? Thank you so. Huh? Ethan. She said thank you and then looking up. Lisa was surprised to see me coming out of the operating room. Ethan, cut it be. I'm a former doctor. In fact, I used to work as a surgeon at this university hospital. Lisa had a dumbfounded look, but after I briefly explained the situation, she understood. Anyway, I'm glad Olivia was saved. Thank you very much. Again, Lisa said thank you very much. Thinking I should contact the other teachers, who were probably worried, I returned to the daycare. At the same time, I talked to everyone about myself. If that's the case, you should have just told us from the start. We're not your enemies. The principal, Devin, patted my shoulder, smiling. The other teachers also understood the situation and smiled at me, seeming to accept it. Also, I have one more request. What is it? Is there a health record book of Olivia? Sure, but why? There's something on my mind. When I said that, Devin hurried off to make a copy of the health record. At the same time, sirens could be heard again in the distance. What could it be? Isn't that the police? Hearing the teachers talking, I turned towards the gate to see two police officers coming my way. You're Ethan Johnson, right? Yes, but what's this about? Actually, we heard someone used an operating room at the university hospital without permission, and we've come to investigate if there's any criminal aspect. Do you know anything about that? The police officer's sharp gaze probed my face. From the moment they arrived, I had an idea of why they had come here. I used it without permission. Is that so? Could you please come to the station with us so we can hear more about the situation? When I frankly admitted it, and the police tried to take me in, the kids stood in front of the officers. Who are you kids? Hey, you can't take Ethan away. Ethan is a hero who saved Olivia. A hero shouldn't arrest another hero. Everyone. I was so happy I almost cried seeing the children stand in front of the police to protect me. That's right. At that time, Olivia was unconscious and her life was in danger. A doctor's job is to save children's lives. A small child's life, or the hospital's silly rules. Which do you think is more important? Everyone. Thank you for doing this for me. I couldn't hold back my tears at everyone's actions. And seeing that, the police officers sighed and their expressions turned calm. Sir, we understand the situation. Thank you. More importantly, there's one thing I want to confirm. Ethan, I found the health record book. Devin came running back from the office and handed me a sheet of paper. So that's how it is. Did you figure something out? Olivia's health record book was created at our university hospital. A different disease name than the actual one was written there. And I found out who made that diagnosis. In that case, it seems the place you'll be going is the hospital, not the police station. Yes. Understanding the situation, the police officer had me get in their car and took me to the university hospital. When I arrived at the hospital with the police, there was some kind of commotion going on. And perhaps having heard about it, Mr. Smith and Williams came rushing over. Ethan, what is the meaning of this? I hear you used our hospital's operating room without permission. You have nothing to do with this hospital anymore. A doctor who easily misdiagnosed patients has no right to just show up here. Williams approached me with a look like he was about to bite me. Mr. Smith and Williams, this university hospital has no need for doctors who misdiagnose, right? Of course. This is the top university hospital in the US after all. What are you trying to say now? Looking at Williams' face, I handed Mr. Smith the copy of Olivia's health record book. What is this? It's the health record that was issued 4 years ago when a girl named Olivia was diagnosed here. It states that Olivia has Pompe disease. But according to the diagnosis I made in parallel with her surgery this time, it turned out she doesn't have Pompe disease but Fabry disease. So what? In other words, this is a misdiagnosis. And the one who made Olivia's diagnosis was Williams. Me. The treatment for Pompe and Fabry disease is almost the same. They are both diseases that develop due to a deficiency of enzymes that can't be produced in the body. However, the enzyme that should be administered differs between Pompe and Fabry disease. Because Olivia was initially diagnosed with Pompe disease, she was given the enzyme to treat Pompe disease. But what she needed was administration of a different enzyme. What? That can't be. And regarding the misdiagnosis that led to me being kicked out of this hospital, it seems this was found in William's desk. I took out a medical chart and held it up for everyone to see. If you check the date and diagnosis, you should be able to see that I properly wrote the formal diagnosis on the chart at the initial examination. Perhaps starting to panic after being shown the chart, Williams stopped talking. Indeed, looking at the chart, it seems Ethan's claim is correct. But Williams, do you have anything to say? When Mr. Smith pressed him, Williams' eyes darted around as he opened and closed his mouth, as if searching for an excuse. The blood transfusion prep. That's it. Ethan neglected the blood transfusion preparation. Isn't that a failure as a doctor? I could already predict what the cornered Williams would say about the blood transfusion. I spoke up to defeat Williams' last trump card. Regarding the blood transfusion, several nurses told me, the day before my scheduled surgery, Williams, you performed a certain operation, but you weren't able to operate skillfully, and the patient bled more than planned. Knowing that I had a surgery scheduled the next day, you used the blood that was supposed to be for my transfusion. Exposed for everything, Williams stood there as if his soul had left his body. Williams, if what was just said is true, it means you not only misdiagnosed but also administered the wrong treatment to a patient. And furthermore, you covered up a near-surgical accident without reporting it. Is that right? Well, enough. Williams, you're a failure as a doctor. Don't ever set foot in this hospital again. Mr. Smith's anger reached its peak, and Williams sank to the floor as if his waist had shattered. On the other hand, having cleared all suspicion against me, I felt refreshed. Olivia regained consciousness that same day. Lying in the hospital bed, Olivia gazed out the window. Olivia, I'm coming in, okay. Hey, Olivia, how are you feeling? Mommy, Ethan, I'm doing fine. Olivia turned to us and grinned. Even if you're fine, you need to rest for a while, okay? I want to go back to the daycare and make sand castles. You can do that after resting a bit more. Okay. If you say so, Ethan. I'll be patient a little longer. That's a good girl, Olivia. As the three of us were chatting, Williams came to the hospital room to apologize to me and Olivia. Ethan and Olivia, I am truly sorry about this incident. Williams' face was pale, and it was hard to tell if his soul was even there. According to what I heard later, he ended up having to pay damages to Olivia, and Williams was dismissed from the hospital as disciplinary action. After that, Mr. Smith visited the hospital room. Ethan, I have a request for you, if that's all right. What is it? I know it's a presumptuous request, but would you consider coming back to our hospital? Your skills as a doctor will save many people and also improve the skill level of the other doctors. I'm sorry for what I said before, but please, I want you to come back to this hospital. Well, I honestly hesitated to answer. Mr. Smith was looking at me, but I was conflicted about whether I should really go back to being a doctor. I also thought it wouldn't be so bad to keep working at that daycare as a daycare worker. Perhaps seeing through my anguish, Lisa, who was next to me, raised her hand slightly. I'm in favor of Ethan going back to being a doctor. This time, thanks to Ethan, Olivia was saved. I believe there are many lives that can be saved because it's Ethan. Looking into Lisa's eyes as she gazed at me, my heart naturally calmed. I also want Ethan to become a doctor. Because you know, doctors are like medicine that cures everyone. You are meant to be a doctor, right? I think it's best for you to be a doctor. I want you to heal lots of kids like me. Olivia, Lisa. With the two of them pushing me forward, My thoughts converged into one. Mr. Smith, I also want to return to this hospital, to become a doctor that cures everyone. Having returned to the university hospital, I took a position overseeing the front lines as a candidate for the next director. It's harder than before, but I think it's a blessing to be able to save many lives. Of course, that included Olivia. With me becoming Olivia's primary doctor, there were signs of her disease being treated. And that's not the only happy thing. Lisa and I became a couple, and now the three of us, including Olivia, live together like a family. I intend to keep protecting many lives and these two from now on.